I think in order to fully understand the thought behind a civil citation, I can give you an interesting example. You might have 3 children arrested for shoplifting. And what has previously happened before is this is usually a low-level offense. And what occurs is a child will be given court weeks away. They will go before the court, which involves a lot of different agencies, a lot of involvement. It's a very costly endeavor for the whole court system to be in play. And at that particular time, because it's a low-level first-time offense and the thought is they won't be back, is to give them a shoplifting course and some community service, and this would be the route to take. And then if somebody comes back, then we'll start dealing with, what's going on. Well, what we found was there were a lot of things at play with that first arrest. First and foremost, we had children that were arrested for relatively low-level offenses, given court dates, and then some adult in their life forgot to get them into court or were not in a position to get them into court. And even though that child is 12, 13, 14 years old and cannot check themselves out of school and make their way across town into court, what we would do is issue a pickup order, which is basically an arrest warrant. We would rearrest that child and they would automatically go to the detention center. So here is a relatively low-level offender who has done something arguably that can be called a rite of passage for so many kids in this world. And we have escalated this person into the detention center. Now, what does that mean? First and foremost, he's now been arrested multiple times, which has significance in our system and also in his school. He has now been arrested multiple times and gone into the detention center. So suddenly the after-school program that he was doing extremely well in will no longer accept him because their understanding is he must be a serious offender. He's been arrested more than once. He's been in the detention center, when in fact that's not what he is. Furthermore, it is disruptive. His family is upset. They're angry. He knows he hasn't done anything, so a degree of anger starts to emerge, and also in the school, the expectations of that child start to erode, and there is nothing more cruel to any child than low expectations. So what we wanted to do is really start to address some of those systemic problems. We wanted an opportunity to use that first encounter with a juvenile to really understand what's going on with that child, as opposed to putting them in maybe a shoplifting course and just community service and have that be applicable to everyone. For example, 3 offenders. You have one child that just was with a group that day, somebody shoplifted or somebody thought somebody shoplifted, and the entire group gets arrested. That's one situation. That is a child that would probably do fine with community service and the shoplifting course. But the second child that gets arrested has a developing drug problem and started shoplifting in order to get money for drugs. If we can immediately get that child into substance abuse treatment, we are going to see a great deal more success. The third person arrested for shoplifting is acting out because her mother's boyfriend is abusing her. And her mother's not paying attention to her, no one's listening to her, she's angry, she's upset, and she's crying out for help. That would involve another layer of resources and a whole different type of activity. But we would get to the root of what brought that child to our attention. So our ability to be successful with those 3 children has just grown simply by paying attention to what is going on with that child. And then at the end of the day, at that level, we know that that first offense, that arrest record, can in fact hurt children as they move forward in being able to get into programs, into schools, school loans, the military, and so on and so forth. So we thought at that level, we wanted to create an opportunity for that arrest record to go away. And so we worked very closely with the judges, with the state attorney, with the Department of Juvenile Justice to develop a mechanism that would allow pretty much all first-time offenders in Miami-Dade County to be given a civil citation. And the significance of that is that it is very user-friendly to law enforcement. They can make an arrest, and at the jack, it can be turned into a civil citation, or they can bring them in under a civil citation, or they can give them a referral, and we would follow up after the fact. And since we began this program, we have had over 10,000 juveniles in Miami-Dade County go through the civil citation program. Almost 90% of the juveniles successfully complete and walk away from that experience without an arrest record. And what we have also seen in Miami-Dade is 95% of these juveniles are disproportionate minority contact children. And so we are preventing those children from going into the traditional system and save their records, save the money in the courts, and is all around a hugely successful program.